Traditionally, for games like D&D 3rd edition and some of its direct descendants, a level 1 to 20 campaign breaks down into 4 tiers of play. 1 to 5, which is the gritty, grounded tier. 6 to 10, which is the heroic tier. 11 to 15, which is a super heroic almost tier. And then 16 plus, which is the mythic tier, demigod tier. I've also heard it be divided by the region that you can affect, though that doesn't track with adventure paths as much. Though yes, in level 1 to 5 you can be regional heroes. Levels 6 to 10 you can get to be national heroes. Levels 11 to 15 you get to be the world's heroes, and then level 16 plus you can be interplanar heroes. Do these tiers translate to Pathfinder 2nd edition? In my opinion, they don't. I do see that there are tiers of play. I see one major jump from a tier to the next, which is the first jump. And after that, I don't see as much of a jump. Let me talk about the tiers of play and their specific characteristics that I see. So I see that levels 1 to 6 is the grounded tier of play. Literally, like it's rare to have flight, apart from one sorcerer focus spell, which comes online at level 6. For the most part, you have no flight, no teleportation. Marshals have a difficult time avoiding multiple attack penalty. It's rare to find ways to sidestep multiple attack penalty, and they usually have to choose between dealing damage and making an athletic maneuver. And then slowing enemies down is accomplished primarily by creating difficult terrain, small amounts of difficult terrain. So this is the grounded tier where you want to be keeping track of rations. The GM can run more horror-style games. The players haven't yet gotten to the spot where they can fully sidestep challenges with certain abilities. And then where I see the biggest jump up is going from this tier to the next tier, which I call the heroic tier, which I think goes from level 7 to 16. So level 7 to 16 is the heroic tier of play, and often this is what players want to be playing. In this tier, flight and teleportation are available to mages, but they are not unlimited. Marshals get more ways of avoiding multiple attack penalties, starting with feats like swipe and mixed maneuvers, to eventually all the way up to whirlwind strike. And they can often attack and do maneuvers, sometimes automatically, like with crashing slam or furious grab. Enemies can now be slowed down by good chunky wall spells that can hold a few enemies out for at least a round. And the magic items that are in play at this tier tend to have fun, unique abilities. Now, as I said, a lot of times players want to be playing in this tier. So after your first game with a set of players where you've gotten them from level 1 to 7, consider starting future campaigns from level 7 if that is the tier that most appeals to your players. And then level 17 plus is the epic tier. Or this is where I think that Pathfinder 2e wants it to be epic. They have apex items, and they have unlimited flight, and they have permanent haste that comes online for various different classes with level 20 abilities. 10th rank spells, which admittedly are quite impressive. And yet, a lot of it feels quite logical in terms of the progression from the previous tier. Doesn't seem like a jump. Seems more like, okay, yes, this is just the next increment. When I compare that to the difference between having the translocate spell and not having the translocate spell, like that jump from gritty and grounded tier to heroic tier is significant. Whereas the jump from being able to fly 3 times a day to being able to fly permanently feels less impactful. I will say that with all of the new stuff coming in from level 17 plus, if you combine that with the mythic rules and the mythic destinies, those high level feats, then you get characters that truly feel epic. So think about tiers of play when you're considering your next campaign. If you're starting out with new players and you want to get to a higher tier quickly, consider moving them through the levels quite rapidly. Just a couple of combat encounters per level. Consider doing jumps of 2 levels at a time, which is what I'm trying to do with one of my tables right now, going from levels 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 7, and so on. Players do enjoy the heroic tier quite a bit. I can tell you that from experience as both GM and a player. So try to get them to level 7 quickly. Unless your players want to play the old school style of region crawl, hex crawl game, where things feel more gritty and grounded and challenging, or if you want to run something more horror style, then it is appropriate to stay in the grounded tier. So that's how I perceive tiers of play. Let me know if you see them differently in Pathfinder 2nd edition.